everyone, I'm VenomousStare, back with another 3v3 cast. 3v3 is a very fun game type in StarCraft 2. It's more casual than 1v1 by a mile. It's more casual than 2v2 by a fair bit. But it's not the laggy clusterfuck that is a 4v4 game with constant mass void rays and carriers. So this game of 3v3 is on a map called, I have it written down because I don't know the 3v3 map names, Doorless Hills. Doorless Hills. So this is a good map in 3v3, and I'm going to be talking a lot about maps in this cast because one of the things that never gets talked about is the map pool of team game maps, and it's really important. And the map pool really in Legacy of the Void has been stellar, has been significantly better than Wings of Liberty, and better than Heart of the Swarm. So what makes a good team game map? First of all, you all need to spawn together in a shared base. If you don't, if you spawn separately, basically you can free win with a cheese. Like all you have to do is be aggressive and focus one person. And even if you don't win off of it, it really sucks because you can't really defend as a cohesive unit. And usually the maps where cheese play and aggressive play is the most strong is the maps where everyone has their own base completely. And I really don't like those maps. So what else is important about this map? Well, there's a lot of gold bases on it. There's one here, which the blue team is expanding to. Before I go too balls deep into this map talk, let's talk about the teams. Top right, we have the DDBM clan, Brood, who is going for a 2 gateway play. This guy's name is Elephantus, but I think his name got character limited and it's supposed to be elephantiasis, which is this ridiculous disease, and it's funny, so that's what I'm going to call him. Who's also in the DDM clan, and then Mr. Fungus. Mr. Fungus, maybe he likes mushrooms, who knows. So they're all in the DDM clan, and then the Out Now boys. Out Now Savagewood, that's me, the leader of the clan, you could say. A Ramp, who is the Zerg player, who plays usually fast hive styles and oftentimes gets the Baneling duties early on. Then Elusive Smoke, the player who is in all the 2v2 videos on my channel with me, the Protoss cheesing wonder. This guy loves to cannon rush, loves it, can't get enough of it. Big fan of Seajet Galsy. So here we see that Savagewood has built a factory down on this low ground, floated it, and made a tech lab. Now the reason he did this is walled by rocks, and this is walled by rocks. So if you take this gold base, you have a little bit of a lost temple thing going on here at this cliff. And Savagewood's making a tank. He's also proxy to Starport, and he's making a medevac. Now with tank evac, this is going to be extremely powerful because they can't get high ground vision up here. There's no overlord even remotely close. Mr. Fungus doesn't have one. So this gold base for Mr. Fungus is going to be shut down. His ally, Elephantiasis, does not have an overlord, rather. See Brood, he's made 4 gateways and an expansion, and he's chrono boosting Warp Gate. So maybe a pressure build, maybe a safe expansion. And we see Elephantiasis has made lots of lings, and Brood, the Protoss player, has taken his gold base. So here we see a sentry drop, Elusive Smoke dropping 3 sentries, and Elusive Smoke and Savagewood coordinating to shut down Mr. Fungus's gold base. And I'm going to show you why it's so hard to defend. Mr. Fungus can't attack these units with melee units, and he can't even really see what's happening. And Savagewood is doing a little bit of tank evac harass here. He's trying to pick off a tank. Meanwhile, Mr. Fungus returns to mining. Savagewood might get this queen, excuse me. He shells away, and he speed evacs forward and picks up his tank. Doesn't lose it. Meanwhile, he reshuts down Mr. Fungus's gold base and has a Liberator too. So Savagewood is really being obnoxious here. Really, oh, he's going to fly this Liberator to the natural. For a moment I thought he would use it to assist this gold base siege. But Mr. Fungus is preoccupied. With 6 people it's impossible for me to try to do the POV cam, so I'm just going to stop trying to do it. So Savagewood misses picking up 1 tank there, but picks up a second. Was not expecting the Mothership Core to appear there, I dare say. Savagewood is making another tank, and we see this Liberator has shut down mining. He killed a few workers and then moved it out of the range of the pylon. And of course the strength of this Liberator siege tank on the high ground play is that Savage Wood can just abuse, and he really needs a Mothership Core to deal with this. So both Protoss players would have to bring their Mothership Core, one to deal with this, one to shut down the Liberator with Overcharge. But Protoss players do not like to share Mothership Cores in 2v2 because it's very essential to early defense. A lot of people go Oracle, and 2v2 they go Phoenix Opener, a lot of obnoxious stuff that you really, really need your Mothership Core to deal with. Meanwhile, we see Elusive Smoke. He's trying to do a cannon rush on the go here as sort of like a choose your own creative appetizer, Applebee's type thing. He also has a Sentry and a Zealot just to be cute. He's made a plethora of buildings, and he's really paying homage to Siege at Galzi, the Icelandic god of cannon rushing, trying to do this mobile on the cannon rush. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to work. I dare say he's built quite a few buildings. And Lings are going to come over, lots of Lings. This is the thing about cannon rushing with the Warp Prism at 6 minutes in the game, is your opponent, he's probably going to have some units. As we see, Brood has been pumping Stalkers all game. He essentially blind countered this by going 4-gate and chronoing constantly and producing units. But he's still going to lose a reasonable amount, considering that was 9 buildings built in someone's base at 6 minutes. Meanwhile, we see Savage Wood continuing to be a nuisance. He picks off this Mothership Core, which is nice, because now Mr. Fungus does not have high ground vision. He's going to be forced to walk on the high ground to deal with this tank, and here's the Liberator. And Savage Wood even ferries an SCV over. Wow. This is a Sean Avery level of obnoxiousness from Savage Wood. And we see Elusive Smoke is going to throw in his obnoxiousness too. 2 cannons being built at the almost 7-minute mark at a gold base. This is crazy. As lots of Lings come up from Elephantiasis and they start to pick off this tank quickly, Savage Wood moves down as his Liberator continues to rain hell down upon these Zerglings. One more tank, and Savage Wood needs to not lose this one either. He drops the weak tank on the low ground, waits for the other one to siege. Hot pick up the weak tank. Gets pushed down onto the low ground. Savage Wood is going to have to move his factory. He loses the tech lab. Meanwhile, we see Elusive Smoke with another cannon rush. Absolutely ridiculous strategies here from Elusive Smoke. Even brings his Mothership Core just to prove a point. Savage Wood finally losing his Liberators, and these 2 tanks have been incredibly annoying. If we go to units lost, the person who has lost the most units other than, well, Savage Wood and the Protoss player are about tied. And you can see, even though the workers are the same, there's a gold base involved, the mining has been so inhibited by Savage Wood that he is ahead despite not really having any more workers than the other player. A-Ramp already has Hive. This is what an unharassed Zerg gets to do. Savage Wood is upgrading and producing units, and we see cannons. Cannons in the main. Ridiculousness. There is a big army and lots of mutas though, so let's go to units, and we see, while the red team really doesn't have a lot, A-Ramp with just roaches that can't shoot up, and Elephantiasis has lots of mutas, and Savage Wood has been doing that committed push and has been being obnoxious, but does not really have the infrastructure to deal with this, loses SCVs, does not have turrets, clearly was hit in the mouth unexpectedly by those mutas. We can see those cannons were obviously killed. Savage Wood has enough Marines to defend. He's also getting a turret up at his second. But the blue team, even though they've been abused heavily this game, are not dead by any means. Elephantiasis has a scary amount of mutas, and A-Ramp is producing mass spores and going ultra. He really needs to produce Hydra, because he does. There he goes, 11 Hydra, and he loses Overlords in the meantime. This is another thing that you have to remember to do whenever you see lots of mutas as Zerg, is pull back all of your Overlords into your main and put them above a spore. And Elusive Smoke is just going to lose everything here. He's basically been cannon rushing for the last 9.5 minutes. And he's such a connoisseur of cannon rushing that he's even incorporated a Warp Prism. But he neglected to build a cannon in his main, and that really wouldn't have helped against this many mutas. And then this guy, Mr. Fungus. The guy who's having a cannon built next to his natural at 9.5 games just says, "Fuck you guys." He's really upset. And Elephantiasis gets chased over into A-Ramp's Overlord, so A-Ramp might get supply blocked as this crucial push hits. He does. Savage Wood really is the only one who has his units in position. And Savage was going to stem. He has a reasonable little force for what he did early. He kites back with the mutas, and he has a Thor. The Thor is going to do great damage to these mutas, which weren't really microed particularly well, as Elephantiasis got caught off guard and lost a big portion of his mutas. Meanwhile, A-Ramp has a large portion of Roach Hydra, reinforcing and decimating the army of Mr. Fungus. Now, it looked like that Protoss was going to win the army, I'm sure to a lot of you veteran players especially. The reason he didn't is because of our upgrade disparity. Mr. Fungus, he's been harassed in the most ridiculous ways for so long that he just has not been able to get around to upgrading. Now, this makes sense when you consider how little he's actually been mining, and he's just been trying to produce units and break the ridiculous contains. But A-Ramp has been upgrading. He's been unharried and he's been droning. He's been playing well. He has 2-2. He's making lots of drones. He started +3 and he's getting an additional queen. He's starting to drone up his 4th base with this huge economy. Another thing I want to mention is how Medivacs and Zerg interact, particularly Roach, or particularly non-Zergling based armies, I should say. They interact very well. If you have a friendly Medivac and you just park them over your allies' Zerg units, they just don't die, especially if it's an even fight. It's very strong. But we see Brood has a monstrous number of Immortals, and Savagewood attacks kind of haphazardly here. A-Ramp tries to reinforce, but Savagewood definitely overextended there. And Elusive Smoke really has been knocked out of the game. His mobile cannon rushing was obnoxious, but hey, calm down. His mobile cannon rushing was obnoxious, but at this moment it's basically a very hard fight for the Out Now clan to win, the red team, because there are a ton of Immortals, and A-Ramp has his ground Zerg. He's producing some more Hydras. He does have this upgrade advantage, which will help. And here's Savagewood dropping in the meantime, doing a counterattack, picking off the Mothership Core, hot pickup into the main immediately. And this Mothership Core shutting down mining for Elusive Smoke, so he is still being annoying, even though he's barely even mining. A-Ramp, with the help of upgrades and Medivacs, has produced enough units to stave off this Protoss push, especially considering Elephantiasis was held off as well. More units for the blue team coming forward, and here's Savagewood kiting forward, stipes a pylon, shuts down some production, and mows down workers. So the blue team did a nice little attack, but if we look at the income tab, they paid a lot for it. Basically, that was a net loss because Savagewood's drops did so much damage. This base wasn't mining, they sacrificed, kind of defending that base to just attack. This is another thing about endlessly harassing your opponents, especially at lower leagues. Sometimes they will just become so frustrated and make a bad attack, just because they're just so irritated with the harass, and they don't really know how to stop it, or they think they get too far behind, so they just push with what they have or try to all in. And I think that's what we saw, at least from Mr. Fungus's point of view, as he was very irritated, going as far as to say "fuck you," because he got cannon rush after being tank liberator contained. Elephantiasis has been producing mutas, but has been fighting straight up with them and really hasn't been upgrading or making enough banelings. And this map is really not a good muta map. You have to break down these rocks and then start to play a counterattack heavy style. But it's really not effective at all, because honestly, if you just hold at these 2 chokes, it's very easy to defend. It's a defender's map. So mutas were not a good choice on this map, I would say. This is like a way better Roach map. We see Savagewood making good use of the high grounds at 14 minutes in the game. He basically abused, as he focus fires mutas, he abused the high ground in the early game. He's continuing to abuse it despite the rocks going down. Remember, high ground positions where you can drop are still good even if there's not rocks there. A-Ramp has a Nidus with roaches at the very opposite point of the map. Meanwhile, Brood is trying to push disjointedly. And Savagewood and A-Ramp. A-Ramp has almost pure Hydra, but he has such an absurd upgrade advantage that it's basically pure Immortal against pure Hydra, and that actually favors the Hydras, especially in the numbers that A-Ramp had. We also see that A-Ramp cleared out a little base of mining here, and he sees the 4 Robos. So A-Ramp and the Out Now clan definitely know how heavy committed to Immortals that Brood is going. And this means that Marines are good and Hydras are good. Obviously, an Immortal heavy army would have decimated Roaches, and Mr. Fungus finally has brought his Stalkers together. You can see that Mr. Fungus has started to mine too, but whenever you see disjointed attacks at the front door and people not really microing particularly well, you always have to consider that if they're being harassed, and that they're probably, as we see, a huge mine shot for Savage Wood, damaging all the mutas. Wonderful hit there despite not killing anything. That's something you always have to consider whenever you watch StarCraft 2 is, oh, they're making a mistake. Well, why? Well, look at the mini-map. Do you see stuff going on? Mr. Fungus warping in Zealots. But Savagewood has 2-2. And the blue team this time is going to attack the back door. That's smart. Now, Elusive Smoke lost his Nexus. He's pretty much out of the game if we go to units. He just has Warp Prisms and Probes, basically. And Savagewood picks up and drops onto the blue team, the Zerg player. So Savagewood is shutting down mining while this attack is going on. And what's powerful about upgraded bio drops is they will continue to do damage. They will fester and get worse and worse. You can't just blindly base trade and hope that it'll never, like, hope that you'll just win. Because Terran players will just lift their buildings and kill all your stuff with upgraded bio. You see some Mr. Fungus brings over Zealots. Now Savagewood is also microing his army over here. He shuts down the 4 Robos, which is really the crux of the army composition of the blue team. Picks up and starts to shut down mining of the blue team. Meanwhile, Mr. Fungus and Brood are teaming up to kill A-Ramp's Zerg hatcheries. And we see Savagewood has constantly been obnoxious. He's killed all the Robos. He's also killed 2 Nexus, Nexi, whatever. And like I said, this drop has festered. It might even kill this base, and if it does, it'll probably be curtains for our blue team if red can defend. The red team pushes up with some bio, some ultras, some Roach Hydra, a healthy little mix of units of bio. They desperately need medevacs. Savagewood really should have had medevacs over here, but they barely hold, largely due to Mr. Fungus's constant state of being harassed. Savagewood's Marines that decimated these 2 bases will run into the main and start to do more damage. This base is dead. So the blue team went all in on one huge attack, and Savagewood counterattacked while A-Ramp produced units and held. And in the end, they were just too harassed and too out macroed and too out upgraded, frankly, to try to defend all that. And Mr. Fungus, after saying fuck you and pretty much declaring himself the winner, thinking that he was the winner, preemptively GGing, says it's the most aggregating game ever. I mean, I wouldn't know. I've never been cannon rushed at 10 minutes after having my natural Liberator tank dropped, but he did not have a good time. As we see, Savagewood is just decimating everything that the blue team has. Elusive Smoke even makes a cameo. Brood's like, okay, GG. Elephantiasis was not mining at this point. He was harassed by Elusive Smoke and Savagewood, and that's the game. So if you like 3v3, subscribe for more. If you like StarCraft 2 1v1 or guides, subscribe for more.